Edwin De Los Santos versus Joseph Adorno. This is on the Jaron Ennis and Royman Villa card. Let's get into it. Let's start with Edwin De Los Santos. 15 wins, 1 loss, 14 wins by way of knockout. You know, it's really been in the recent years that we have been able to see De Los Santos, right? Most of his fights at the early stages have took place in his home country of Dominican Republic, where he was knocking cats out. He was knocking everybody out. And it's hard to gauge sometimes, right, the level of opponents that you're facing when you don't really see the fighter and can't really get the eye test and judge for yourself. But now he's in the spotlight and we've been able to see him fight a couple times. Last year was a big year for him, even though the year started off with the loss, his first loss in his career, where he lost by split decision when he fought William Foster III in a good, tough fight, a stylistic fight that didn't suit De Los Santos to me, but a fight where he's learned and made the right adjustments moving forward. As I've said many times on this channel, right, as an athlete, when they take a loss, you're never really sure how they're going to respond. You're never really sure if that loss, they're going to hold on to it rather than using it as a learning lesson. But that has not been the case for De Los Santos. He got a new trainer, I believe, and got a full training camp underneath his new trainer. In his next fight, he fought Luis Acosta and made quick work of Luis Acosta in 2 rounds. Acosta was undefeated at the time, and De Los Santos made it easy work of him in that fight. After that fight, he gets into the ring with Jose Valenzuela, a guy who a lot of people is very high on. I think Valenzuela is a very good boxer, right? But a guy who's a known prospect, a guy who can punch, and a guy who has wins over Austin Delay and Francisco Vargas. As soon as the fight started, man, he was taking the fight to Valenzuela. The hands looked fast, the punches looked powerful, the punches were accurate, and the jab looked stiff and sharp, but he was very aggressive, right? And if you are too aggressive and you don't cover up, bad things usually happen to you in the ring. And De Los Santos, he was a little bit too aggressive. And in that second round, he got caught with a counter hook that clipped him right on the chin, and he went down for the first time in his career. But he didn't look too dazed. He didn't really look hurt. You know what I'm saying? It looked like it actually woke him up, because when he came back, I mean, that man came back with a vengeance. And he started unloading on Valenzuela. I mean, those punches, they looked heavy. They sounded powerful, right? He was sitting down with everything on those punches, and Valenzuela got clipped, man. He got overwhelmed and he got knocked down. De Los Santos kept applying the pressure and the power and eventually closed out the show. De Los Santos, man, he can be a big problem, right? He likes to take risks, and when he's locked in, he's dangerous, right? Because of the power, the speed, the accuracy, and the variety of punches, the explosiveness, the natural athleticism. And he is smart inside of the ring. He has good ring IQ, and he's confident in how he fights, but he is risky and he does take a lot of risk. And sometimes he is so offensive minded that his defense is not as sharp and tight as it can be. But right now, he's fighting at a high level, and he's going to be looking to continue this winning streak and trying to prove why he is one of the best in this division. I mean, he is talking about fighting Shakur Stevenson, and so, you know, he's got to continue to look good in these performances. But let's talk about his opponent, Joseph Adorno. 17 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, and 14 of those wins by way of knockout. Adorno was a good, solid fighter who doesn't back down from any opponent, who isn't scared to get into the ring with anybody. He had a tough fight against Jermaine Ortiz a couple years ago that ended in a draw. He fought Michel Rivera next after he fought Jermaine Ortiz. He lost that fight by split decision, and a fight where Rivera's speed and jab made a big difference in that fight. Adorno isn't a slow guy by no means, but in that fight, he looked like he was the slower fighter. It looked like he was a step behind in both of those categories. He's generally a good counter puncher, right? And did catch Rivera a few times, but he didn't have enough that fight to get the job done. I thought he fought back well, because he was losing in the early rounds, but he's resilient, and he did put on a better performance in the second half of the fight, but it was too late to get a win in that fight. After that fight, he fought Hugo Ralden. I thought he looked pretty good for the most part, right? Offensively anyway. He was countering well. He was using the jab well. He was slipping and moving and not being a sitting duck. He was constantly applying the pressure, constantly changing the angles. He was fighting pretty good off the back foot as well, too, because Ralden did not back away from him. He was applying the pressure. What I liked about Adorno in that fight was he was calm. He let the fight come to him and took what was given to him. I thought he could have pressed the pace a little bit more. I thought he could have let his hands go a little bit more, but he fought a good, consistent fight throughout and a good, safe fight and got the job done. After that, he fought Elvis Rodriguez, where he fought his way back in the second half of that fight. When Adorno was fighting guys who may be a little bit quicker, maybe a little bit faster, maybe a little bit more powerful, it takes him a few rounds to find his groove, to get back into his fight, right? To get back into his rhythm. And against Elvis Rodriguez, you know, Elvis was faster and a bigger puncher, and he did a good job of using his jab and kept him at distance. Rodriguez got a knockdown in that fight, and maybe if that knockdown did not happen, who knows what those scorecards would have looked like, because he lost that fight by mixed decision. I thought it was a clear win for Elvis Rodriguez. I thought Rodriguez was controlling the pace of that fight a lot more. He was more consistent and landing the more eye-catching shots. Adorno's consistency in his endurance, man, once he gets going, he finishes the fight very well. So I got to give him credit to that too. But his recent fights, when he has fought guys who are good starters, he lost the fight in the first half and had to work too hard to regain the momentum back in the second half, and it wasn't enough. So who wins? Again, as I said, the common theme that I've seen is when Adorno is fighting those quicker, powerful, high caliber guys, man, he doesn't start well, right? And it takes him a while to get going. And I think De Los Santos is a bigger puncher than any of the guys that he's faced so far. And you mix that with the speed as well, right? But he does take a lot of risk, and that is when Adorno can use his counter-punching ability and kind of even up the score. I'm thinking he's going to come in and try to be a counter puncher in this one and just allow De Los Santos to push the pace and see if he can find ways to set traps and catch him coming in and find a way to capitalize off of his strengths. But I like De Los Santos in this one, right? Although Adorno has been dropped before, he has never been stopped before. But I also think, man, De Los Santos is fighting with a level of confidence and belief, and the placement and power when his punches in the recent fights have looked magnificent, right? Adorno is going to be moving, but De Los Santos is an explosive guy who might be able to beat him to the punch and will cut off the ring and get the shots that he wants. I think the decision play here is probably the safe bet and will more than likely be the outcome, but I'm leaning towards Edwin De Los Santos to win this one by stoppage, some type of TKO play for me. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you would like to support the channel, there's a couple ways you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you would like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel and will be greatly, greatly appreciated. Just started a membership section on the channel. I don't always get to do all of the suggested videos you guys suggest in the comment section for that week. But if you become a member, suggested videos rise to the top, and I will do my best to get those done for you. Or if you would like to become a member just to support the channel, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Shout out to all the members holding down the section already. Shout out to everybody that continues to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I appreciate each of you. With all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.